We got darkness! Oh no, the camera's broken!
No, it's not. You do it every time, they know. They know, they're used to this, they know. So we watched Black Widow finally. I've been really super busy.
Yeah, we, like wise people, we've been avoiding cinemas, and so we had to wait for me to get it on Blu-ray, and then we had to wait for Omega to finish working forever.
No, I don't work forever, I just have a lot to do.
Yeah.
I got 2 papers published last month, that's like pretty
See?
good. Well, I mean, it's not like I wrote them in a month. Basically, like the analysis was done in December, and then I wrote the paper January through February with the help of the rest of the project team, and it went to peer review, and then we had revisions, and then it was accepted in August.
So what I'm getting here is my spouse is very successful.
No, but everybody publish. You have to publish. It doesn't make you successful. It's
I'm
just
not
part
published.
Of your, no, in academia, I mean.
Okay.
Like
Successful.
You do what you can. I'm an early career researcher, so.
Anyway, we watched Black Widow on Blu-ray. We didn't watch. No Disney Plus for us. We just watched because I like having hard copies of things.
We do have Disney Plus, but I don't like paying extra for it.
Yeah. So, I thought I enjoyed this. I thought it was great. Typical
The
Marvel.
script was good.
Yeah, it's like typical Marvel doing what they do well, like Marvel always do. It is to its severe detriment that it came out after Infinity War and Endgame. If they put this in, if they'd release this after Civil War, before Infinity War, it would have done gangbusters.
When was it originally meant to come out? I know it's got to. I mean, even there were delays even pre-COVID. So
it was meant to come out around the time. A couple of months after COVID hit. It was always made as one that would be set earlier but made later, and the reason it wasn't made before was because they had the former boss of Marvel was a dick.
Oh yeah, right.
But Feige's in charge now, so that's why stuff like that got greenlit. But Feige's good.
Oh yeah, so I was like,
okay, I thought you were doing different.
No, I wasn't giving the finger. I was like, aha, yes,
Excelsior.
There was like an old guy with like really long hair and a beard that looked really, really fake, and I was like, oh look, it's the Stanley Oh, it wasn't a Stanley cameo because he's passed away.
Yeah. Well, think of the trailers. So it's hilarious. Everyone who actually wants to watch this will have already seen it, so we don't have to worry about spoilers at all. But
let me. Just you have to say, YouTube will get angry at you.
Yeah. If one thing the trailers did not get at all across was the tone of this was basically the MCU's version of a Roger Moore era James Bond film, and they lampshaded that by having Moonraker play. Like, whoever watched Moonraker, and it's like, and so I really enjoyed it on that level. So it's like, in MCU terms, it's like the closest film to it I'd say is Winter Soldier. But like a sillier Winter Soldier.
Yeah, the dialogue was really good. The dialogue was really tight. I appreciate that. I do like witty dialogue. The interplay between Elena and Natasha was very like millennial versus Gen X. I appreciated that as well.
Yeah.
I was really sure there was going to be a line of like, "Why are you calling me? We text now," or something like that.
And I really liked Red Guardian and Jennifer Weiss. I want there to be a show, like a Disney Plus show, set in the late or mid 80s with Red Guardian, like a propaganda show, sort of like Comrade Detective, where you've got them as characters playing themselves, defeating evil capitalist supervillains.
And like a different suburb every week.
Yeah,
that's
and
great.
You don't even need to do the full-on Comrade Detective thing and actually film it in like Romanian or whatever with English subtitles. Just film it with the actors, but make it such an over-the-top propaganda piece. It would be fucking hilarious.
It would be. But everybody was good. It was acted well. All the people acted good.
Yeah, and there was a lot of just cause action in there. What with the
like literally, like you like to tie people to various things with rip lines, and then like cows especially, and then like have them parachute away.
Yeah, or to what do you call it? The electricity spinny things. Windmills.
You mean a turbine?
Turbine, yes. Yes,
Windmills are charming. Turbines are horrible.
attaching people to the blades of those things in Just Cause is one of the funniest things there, especially with the car. Like, the car going like, whoo, whoo, whoo.
I've seen you do it to cows.
And then if you have like enough of them,
She's done it to cows.
basically they start tearing themselves apart. It is great.
The footage of that turbine, like in a windstorm, like ripping itself to bits, it's just very unsettling. Like, I'm really glad, like wind power's great, don't get me wrong, wind power's great, but those things are horrifying, they're terrifying. There's an area outside Coleraine, if you're driving from the northwest, like to the north central where Coleraine is, and like it's there's two ways to get there, and usually the bus or if you're driving in a car goes one way, there's this huge valley that has like 23 of them, and it's horrifying. It's a valley of horror, especially because it's the north coast, so it's usually like gray and doom like, and it just literally looks like something out of like a 1970s dark episode of Doctor Who. It is horrifying. I call it the Valley of Terror.
I like
and they're not all they're all spinning at the same time. There's always one that's not moving, and I'm like, why? All your brothers are moving. Why are you stopped?
I like wind turbines. I think
they're objectively horrifying.
I think they look like beautiful modern art.
No. We've discussed
I
this.
want more of them.
There's an ex-KCD cartoon about this. I'm not the only one who thinks they're terrifying.
Well, as a small child, I found the electricity pylons that you have beside the road, the giant ones. I found those frightening as a small kid.
Oh, the high-capacity power. Yeah, they are kind of...
But wind turbines, I find them soothing, relaxing to watch. They're just like spinning things.
No.
It's modern art.
No. But
anyway.
anyway.
And they're useful too. But back to Black Widow, there are a lot of little action scenes in this, using like the zipline type thing, or parachuting through things, or doing stuff involving planes, which just reminded me of Lost Cause, Just Cause levels. I mean, I've beaten 3. I've beaten most of 4, but I didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, this was a very there was like literally parts of the action scenes, like action set pieces, where I thought I could like literally imagine this in the video game version. Yeah. Where, like, I just have to hit the target box. Okay, got it. The cutscene's gonna take over from there. Yeah,
but at the same time, the action, at least especially in the early parts of the film, felt a lot more grounded than
because it wasn't like it was basically people jumping about and punching each other like actual human beings do. Because they have a lot of training, but none of the Black Widows are superhuman.
Yeah,
Red Guardian's the only superhuman.
Yeah,
although it's just like only kind of.
He's great, but
it's really as he is.
But I really felt they misused him by not giving him an actual proper fight with Taskmaster on screen, where you could show off that he was a legit aging but still really powerful guy.
Yeah, I liked to make Taskmaster jokes the whole entire time. So like whenever like Taskmaster shows up, like someone press Control-Alt-Delete, there he is.
So do you think he fought Captain America, and how did he do it?
No, I think he was lying.
But he asked Natasha about it, if he ever mentioned
he said, did he ever talk about me? He never said, did he ever talk about our fight? Did we ever talk about the incident? Did he ever discuss me? So I think it was totally a case of he had himself convinced that he was this big, scary Russian version of Captain America, that Captain America was probably sitting, in America and like New York City going, ooh, if only. And so basically, he probably might have even like done like propaganda, before he got thrown in jail, done like propaganda stuff, for the government. He's like, and there, I just punched the face of Captain America so much. And, and so like that just kind of became his whole mythos. So he built himself up. Like, how, remember I told you, alright, so I haven't told you, that in my 20s I had this friend who was a bit of a drama queen, actually. And we were all at a party at my friend Bill's. Like, our friend Bill just had, like, a bonfire party on his property, like, literally, like, every Saturday in the summer. It was great. So she's like, I'm going to go home. And we're like, oh, okay, well, drive safe. We'll see you later. She's like, yeah, no, I'm supposed to be role-playing online with a friend of mine. We're like, okay, great, well, see you later. Drive safe. Text us when you're home. And then, like, the next night, I was online, and she messaged me, and she was like, did people talk about me after I left? And I was like, no. And she's like, well, what'd they say about me? I'm like, but no one talked about you after you left. She's like, they didn't ask why I left early? And I'm like, you said you had an online date. Not a date, but, had like a, you were going home. We were done partying. She's like, no, but you can tell me. Like, if people talked about, like, nobody talked about you. We literally forgot you, like, the second you went away. Do you know how drunk we are? were at that point. Do you know how many substances were in the air? We didn't care. I didn't say we didn't care, but it was kind of like that. Like, she had built up this idea that she would make this dramatic exit, and then, like, everybody would, like, talk about her and gossip about her. And no one did, because she's like, I'm going home. We're like, okay, see you later. And then we got on with the party. And so that's what that makes me think of. You know, that he just kind of built this up like, oh, I bet Captain America's, like, sitting in Avengers Tower right now being like, oh, it's so good that the Red Guardian's in jail because I'm in big trouble. Mean capitalism, I tell you what. And so that's probably what he really thinks.
It's definitely possible. I mean, there's two other possibilities, which I really don't know which one I lean towards. Because we know there was at least one Captain America after Steve Rogers, Isaiah Bradley, who in the comics was before Captain America, but in the MCU was afterwards. He was Korean War era. There's possibly Burnside, who would have been early 50s Red Scare era. So there are multiple ones, so it's possibly fought one of them.
Yeah.
But the other possibility, and I really like this one, because I'm convinced that Steve Rogers kept himself busy fighting stuff in the background of the MCU, because here's my logic. He can't go off and like stop Hydra from taking over S.H.I.E.L.D. because that happened in history. However, if something ridiculous happened, like say the Clue Blacks from the planet Zorg turn up, and he knows that didn't happen in the real history, so he's like, okay, I can kill these fuckers.
So he kind of like becomes almost like the TVA.
No, not really. It's just like if everything he dealt with in the MCU continuity, like as a Black Ops, Captain America superhero type thing, was stuff that we didn't hear about because he dealt with it.
I guess.
So it's possibly fought like Steve aged like 80.
Punching an old man, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so what's her face? New Black Widow, or who they're saying will be new Black Widow.
Yeah, Florence Pugh.
Yeah, she was good. She had really good delivery of her lines. I really liked her a lot.
Yeah, I liked how she was 40% of her personality was taking the piss out of the original Black Widow, which was good.
Yes, very like family thing. The only thing I didn't like is it kind of does grind to a halt in the middle for like emotional scenes, and I feel like we just had emotional scene after emotional scene, and I feel like that went on far too long.
Should maybe have been spread out.
Yeah, either that or like, I don't know. But Rachel Weisz was good. I like her.
Although when she was de-aged in the early scenes, she looked a lot like Shirley Henderson, who played Moaning Myrtle in Harry Potter, whose mother is friends with the mother of my aunt's husband. Da-da-da-da!
From Scotland.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Shirley Henderson's Scottish. She was also in.
Is she a
Trainspotting?
high? Is that how?
No.
Oh no, because you're.
No, she would Shirley Henderson. She was in Trainspotting as well, and Doctor Who. She was in Love and Monsters.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. She was like in her 30s when she played Moaning Myrtles. She looks really young.
Oh, like that. They made a movie out of that musical that's terrible. Dear Evan Hansen. And, like, it's supposed to be, like, you know, a weedy little, like, between 12 and 14-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But they cast this guy, he's, like, in his 30s. And then it looks really, 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 like, it's, like, literally, like, the, hello, fellow teenagers, how are you doing? I am also a teenager.
It reminds me of...
There's been the discourse.
That reminds me of Billy Bunter, which was a 1950s British kids show.
Oh, is it? Oh, no, I'm thinking of Billy Cranky.
No, this is... Billy Bunter was, he was like a private school, you know, kid who was getting into all these trouble and sort of bullying kids and sort of basically being terrible. But the show lasted for about 15 or 16 years, and the actor who, when he played him, when he started the role, he was someone like 33. So he was in his 50s, I think, when the show finally ended, but the character was still like 15.
Is it Willie Cranky that I'm thinking of? With the voice played by the old woman?
Oh, you're thinking about the Crankies.
Yeah. Yeah, she showed me this. It's like, oh, like the joke is, he's a wee Scottish lad who's quite obviously being played by a very short woman in her 40s. It was fantastic. And
like her husband's playing the kid's dad.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. But like they made it work. They made it work. They're Scottish. It was really good. I guess the big reveal, because I'm good at that.
Yeah, about who Taskmaster was.
Dun, dun, dun.
I thought they handled it pretty well by not battering us over the head with, who is Taskmaster? I wonder who Taskmaster is.
If only they'd asked Taskmaster for their pronouns.
Yeah, it's like, by revealing, you know, Draco's daughter, because, you know, spoilers, she got, you know, killed mysteriously, and then, you know, there's Taskmaster. It's more of a Darth Vader-like reveal, rather than one of the other ones where they keep bringing up the question, because, like, Darth Vader, if you recall, in Empire Strikes Back, we knew Anakin Skywalker was murdered by Darth Vader. That's all they'd ever said about it. And then you reveal, holy shit, it's actually Anakin Skywalker. That makes the
That's
the
why he
shock.
wears the mask, not because he's burned, it's because he's so ashamed, just a whiny little prick. Jesus Christ.
But it's because it was not actually a mystery. That's why it was so shocking.
But the outfit was terrible. It looked like, you know what it looked like? It looked like a rejected Super Sentai warrior.
Yeah, or like a crap Star Wars bounty hunter, like a crap Mandalorian. The Taskmaster proper suit, it has been adapted visually into video games pretty well, and you could do a decent looking, but live action, but you couldn't really make it look real world and good.
I have such a problem because Taskmaster makes me think of Task Manager. I made several really good Windows jokes. Thank you very much when we were watching it, but because we're not in the theater and we can get away with shit like that. But the thing is, it just sounds like he'd show up and be like, "Widows, if you have time to lead, you got time to clean. Let's go." Like, it's the worst, the worst. Like, can you not think of something else?
Well, he was the supervillain trainer. That was his job.
But that still makes it sound like he's in middle management. It still makes it sound like he would call a meeting that could have been an email and ask people to get their ducks in a row because going forward, we really have to concentrate on our team synergy.
I agree.
I ain't saying
it is a silly look. It is a silly name, but with the original concept,
except he'd be dubbed because he's played when he has the suit on. He's played by a Japanese teenager. But when he has the suit off, when Rita Repulsa is attacking Angel Grove.
Possibly what they could have done to make the identity a bit more mysterious was have it have Taskmaster speak in the suit, but have the voice dubbed by someone else.
Yeah, like somebody really famous,
like a disguised voice, like Arlie Ermy type voice would have worked.
Yeah.
Although I think he's dead now, but that kind of sort of really harsh voice.
Yeah. So that was that. What else? I had a lot of eyebrow raising errors. Like, oh, it's okay. The Red Room is actually a Doom Fortress. And I'm like, there is no way.
A flying Doom Fortress.
A flying Doom Fortress. There is no way that neither S.H.I.E.L.D. nor Hydra was aware of that. I mean, come the fuck on. Like, okay, hiding from mortal authorities, like, there's, like, governments, yeah, no, totally buy that. That's why he's so slippery, But really...
Well, yeah, you're on the helicarrier, you look out, and eventually you're going to see that there's a Doom Fortress, that's basically...
Yeah, because, like...
on the same altitude as you.
I think they made it crash, like, somewhere, like, unoccupied, like, Siberia or something. But, like, she was like, oh, that's how he hides, he moves around. And I'm like, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s going to find out eventually.
It should have been a lot smaller and more subtle.
Yeah, and Hydra, and if they didn't, Hydra would have found out, and because S.H.I.E.L.D. then had access to most of Hydra's databases, I mean, I ain't saying, I'm just saying.
It should have been like invisible or something.
The Skrulls would have known.
Well, I reckon S.H.I.E.L.D. probably looked at it and they were like, well, that's just some aliens we're going to have to deal with sometime, but they're not bothering us yet.
Not my circus, not my monkeys.
Yeah. It's the Sneepers. I believe that's an alien race in Marvel.
Probably. But yeah, what else? I mean, it was visually pretty. The effects looked good.
And you were like, in the start, you were like, oh, I'm so happy, mid-90s America.
Mid-90s American suburbs. Oh, and her mom was, the mom was using the Corningware that, like, frickin' every family had. The white square porcelain Corningware with, like, the little blue, like, almost like the Amish hex signs, the barn signs.
My mom has one of those.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Like it's like the big brown porcelain bowl with the thing. Why'd she give it? Did Allie end up with it?
No, she.
Yes, I know. No, I thought you meant.
I was correcting myself.
Oh, I thought you meant that your dad gave it to Allie.
No. We still got it. Usually used to make curries.
Well, yeah, because they came with covers.
Yeah.
My mom had one that was called Aunt Shirley's dish. Because my dad's Aunt Shirley gave it to him when he got his first flower. I think Aunt Shirley was dead decades before I was born. But what else? I mean, it was good.
Yeah, it was fun. It was
I'm
fine.
so happy that your woman is just going to stab the fuck out of... I mean, I know she's not going to kill Hawkeye. Because, he's under contract.
I'm looking forward to the Hawkeye series because if the rumors are true and Kingpin is the villain, that means I'm going to see Vincent D'Onofrio punch Jeremy Renner, and that'll be hilarious.
Like, here's the thing. I've kind of soured on Hawkeye the character when he basically became a murdering psychopath, but everybody was just fine with that. Like, everyone's like, oh, yeah, well, I know, okay, yeah, he only murders Yakuza and drug dealers. Okay, like, I've watched you play some of the Yakuza games. I watched Mars Girl, play them on her stream, and, like, Yakuza aren't all bad. They don't deserve, like, deadly katana death by, like,
Yeah,
a roided-up psychopath.
And the main one he killed in Infinity War, sorry, Endgame, was it Endgame? Yeah, whichever. That was Hideo Sakaki. I think it was Hideo Sakaki.
The character or the actor?
It was Ryuji from Ring.
Oh, okay.
Who plays Scorpion in the new Mortal Kombat. I'm like, oh, he's awesome.
Yeah, but also apparently, like, Jeremy Renner's a dick.
Hiroyuki Sanada, that's it.
So that just sours me on the character even more, just knowing that he's a dick.
Yeah, but Hawkeye is also going to include the Swordsman, who's one of my favorite Marvel comic characters. He's basically even more useless than Hawkeye.
And he was a dick to that little deaf kid who was like, oh my gosh, I love that there's a deaf superhero. He was, what the fuck are you talking about? He said, what the fuck? He said, what are you talking about? Like, Hawkeye's not deaf. And the kid's like, yeah, in the comics he is. And he's like, well, shut up.
Well, he's deaf in the new one now. He's got a hearing aid now,
yeah,
so
but
that's good.
So does my father.
Yeah, but it's a step in the right direction.
Turn on your hearing aid up. I can't listen.
It's a step in the good direction. But anyway, Hawkeye's basically Swordsman's basically Hawkeye if he was French, and instead of using a bow and arrow, he used a sword, which makes him even more useless against massive aliens.
Three Musketeer, basically.
Yeah, and he's got a ridiculous mustache, and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see Swordsman in action. He married Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, that's good.
Because Mantis was not an alien in the comics; she was actually from Vietnam.
I feel like she really wants the D, and by the D I mean the Drax.
Yeah.
And he's like, I puke a little bit. Although I love Dave Bautista. I follow him on Twitter. He's some crack. I've come to terms with the fact that I will never be as manly as Dave Bautista, but I can always aspire.
All you need is a bunch of tattoos and green skin.
And about another 2 feet of height.
What could stretch you?
No. But yeah, no, so Black Widow. No, it was good. Leatherface was good. Scarlett Johansson was good. I can't remember if she's cancelled or not. I think she's only half cancelled. Because she turned down that role she wasn't supposed to
Oh, the trans man role?
Yeah, she was like, I think I'll not though. I got enough guff for being in
Ghost in the Shell?
Yeah.
Well, she's an actor, we're watching the MCU stuff because we like the MCU, and if they choose actors that we wouldn't like, we gotta suck it up and deal.
Well, I don't know. I really I don't really have much of an opinion about her. But I remember there being, a lot of shit about Ghost in the Shell. And I remember being confused and being like, but why not just make another anime movie? Because the movie was good. The series, the standalone complex was good. And one of the most banging... Oh, I'm sorry, they don't say that anymore. This theme song, it slapped, so it did. Why did they not just do more anime? Everybody loves that. But I
don't know. I think I saw the film and I wasn't very impressed with it. Not the live action. I saw the anime years ago, the film version. Enough.
I really like standalone complex because it usually would be on Cartoon Network. I played a lot on the weekends when I would come home in my 20s from a party, and then make whatever drunk food in the kitchen seemed a good idea at the time, and then just kind of zone out in front of the TV with one eye open. But
since I'm not an anime fan, but in the early to mid 90s. I think it was maybe a little bit later. I attempted to get into anime because, half of my siblings, literally half of them, are big into anime, so... So
there's some anime I like, there's some I wouldn't really call myself an anime fan, but there was some stuff that in the 90s and in the aughts that I really liked, and that's what I have on DVD. I love the Slayer series, all of them. That was, one of my earliest exposures to anime. I like that it's basically, the premise of it is funny D&D ripoff kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really very serious. Some movies. I really love all the Blackjack stuff. I think it's because I'm in love with Crispin Freeman's voice. He's one of my him and Gideon Emery are my favorite voice actors.
I'm gonna be left
not
for
that
them.
kind of in love. If I could sound like that vocally, my life. Would you stop that?
I'll be left.
Listen. But I'm not talking about anime. But so Black Widow, it was good. I mean, but you knew that.
Yeah, it's Marvel. You have to.
What you'd say.
You expect a basic level of competence, and they always bring it, except for when Inhumans are involved, or.
Is that the one with the blink dog?
Yeah.
Right.
The dog was the most amusing part of that. That or arguably Iron Fist, but I think Iron Fist isn't good, but it gets too much shine.
Cultural appropriation, the limited run series.
Not really. The character was always meant to be white. I mean,
Yeah, I know, but like
reimagining him's fine.
One of those
but...
one of those things that was like natural back in the day, but now everybody's
okay, yeah.
Yeah, because like when it was made, everyone had been like, well, of course, a little white boy would end up in the Yonder and be trained to be fucking amazing in a way that no Asian person ever could. Well, obviously, but now we're like, oh.
Yeah, fair enough. It was definitely...
Do you bite your knuckle at Iron Fist? Oh, yeah, I do bite my knuckle at Iron Fist.
He was basically created to cash in on a trend. The Kung Fu movie trend of the 70s.
Everybody was Kung Fu fighting.
In the same way that Silver Surfer created the trend of surfing.
No, that's how it would have been awesome. If it was set in the 70s and it was a black guy. That would have been fucking amazing. And everyone would have been like, but it's so cool, though.
It's aged badly, but it probably aged better than the 1980s equivalent, which was where they tried to get on the trend for skateboarding. So what they have is Night Thrasher, who is this black billionaire who just rides a skateboard. He wears armor, looks a bit like the Taskmaster armor in this film, but it's black, and he just beats criminals to death while on a skateboard.
So that's like, if that was like Static Spark or Static Shock.
Static Shock.
Yeah, that'd be okay if it was like a teen, but it's kind of weird and creepy. Unless his sidekick was a young Tony Hawk, that would have been neat.
I suppose Night Thrasher, think about it, you could reimagine him and it could work, but as is, it did not age well at all. It's a bit cringe.
Remember Surf Ninjas?
Yes.
I actually saw Surf Ninjas in the cinema. I think like a whole bunch of us went, and we got I had like a Surf Ninja official pin that they gave out to us.
You remember Surf Nazis?
Surf Nazis Must Die.
Yes, they
There's
must die.
also Three Ninjas, and there was a sequel to Three Ninjas, as I recall.
There were several of them. One of them was directed by the guy who directed Paul Gasari after he escaped to the West.
Oh God!
A poor director. He was an artist.
He was tortured on both sides of the Pacific.
He was like a proper elite director in South Korea. Got kidnapped. Did Paul Gasari. Then he escaped to America. Made that, and then he finally got back to South Korea and continued making highbrow stuff.
Well, good for him. Is he still alive?
I have no idea, but I doubt it.
Oh.
Anyway.
But yeah, Black Widow. I mean, it was really cool. I made some jokes that were really good. I threw in a Rua Pente.
Yes.
Reference that was.
You got everyone in the prison got killed by White Widow.
That earned me. a laugh there, but yeah, I mean, like the dynamic was good between the actors. It's rare for me to say this about a Marvel film that's not Thor Ragnarok or Guardians of the Galaxy. Everyone looked like they were having fun.
Yeah, especially David Harbour. I mean, he
with his hairline like that, and the mustache kind of, he really looked like Kelsey Grammer for a while.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't unsee
Homeless superhero Kelsey Grammer.
What are you talking about, Niles? Of course I'm the Red Guardian. I'm a superhero. It's printed on the tag in the back of my costume.
David Harbour was the Hellboy in the remake and was the sheriff in Stranger Things.
Oh.
So, he's just tall, muscular, but, But
the Hellboy remake was only a few years ago. I think he looked a lot younger in that.
Well, he had a lot of makeup. The makeup in Hellboy, the remake, was far better than the Guillermo del Toro makeup. Because the Guillermo del Toro stuff looks like plastic. That guy looked like an actual person who was a demon shape.
Fair enough. Yeah, but he was good. He looked like he was having fun.
Yeah. He's a good laugh, and it was good.
I like that your woman was really taking the piss out of, the superhero stuff.
Yeah, all the tropes and all.
I like that. The thing about the vest. I like that as well. But yeah, Black Widow survived a lot of injuries that I'm really sure would have killed her. With Iron Man, obviously the suit protects Tony, and Hulk is Hulk, and Thor's a god. But, Hawkeye and Black Widow, I guess you could say that maybe, she's built to, she's had her training is such that she can ignore pain. But,
because the film is deliberately slightly more grounded than a lot of other Marvel films, the fact that she gets all these injuries that should cripple or kill her, it takes you out of it a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah.
You any final words?
I can't remember. Oh, we saw the stinger at the end, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. It's great to see that she's getting work still.
Yeah, that was...
I thought she was a good actress.
That was supposed to be her first appearance, but then she appeared, they did Falcon and Winter Soldier as well, where she is a supporting character. but that ended up appearing before Black Widow. But that's when she enlists evil Captain America to go with this other Black Widow because they're coming up with the Dark Avengers. But who's behind it? It's probably Willem Dafoe.
See, I just really liked him as the good guy in Aquaman. Like, it just like they really set us up expecting him to be like a turncoat traitor because he's Willem Dafoe, but he's like, I'm a good guy actually. I'm like, oh sweetie, I want you to play good guys all the time.
It's like Willem Dafoe. It's like even my Jesus is an asshole.
Yeah, like I mean, I've never met him, but I assume if you did meet him, he'd probably be like one of those actors who'd be like really really kind. And would be like, oh, I love your work. And be like, oh, thanks. That makes me feel so good to hear. Like, would be like really personable and stuff.
Yeah.
And then you'd feel really bad because you're like, do you hate playing villains? You're like, I get paid, Whereas like Christopher Walken probably is like that.
You know why Christopher Walken sounds weird and has his weird, unique way of speaking, which no one else does?
Did someone like yell at him about his diction and tone?
No. Someone asked him about this, and I remember seeing part of an interview where he mentioned it, and basically. His family, I think his entire family, his parents might have been immigrants to America, and either that or he lived in an entire community that was almost all immigrants. So he learned English from people speaking it as a second language from all these different countries.
That's neat.
And that's why he's got this very odd way of speaking. At least that's what I recall.
I thought it was going to be something where like someone like early in drama school yelled at him, and so he was like, I'll tell you what, motherfucker, I'm only 18, but you'll fear me eventually.
It's probably his greatest strength as an actor because no one speaks like him.
True this.
So it's memorable.
But yeah, I mean, go see it. I mean, no, don't go see it. Go buy it.
Yeah.
Or
go to see Shang-Chi if it's still on.
Go borrow it from a friend because it's the COVID times, so no one has money.
Yeah,
but don't rent it on Disney Plus. It's too much.
No, it's free on Disney Plus right now because you got it on Blu-ray, so you can.
Oh right. Okay, well yeah, totally. If you have Disney Plus, just take advantage of that. If not, get it on DVD.
And if you want to see Shang-Chi, go to see that. I mean, we're not going to see it. I'm going to wait till it's out on DVD because I'm not fucking touching a cinema for a little while.
Looking at cinema.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if it's a joke that's almost 2 years old at this point. I just love the idea. Like, every time anyone makes a joke, like, oh, it's great, I got vaccinated, and I can go back to licking things again. Because as someone who's worked at a till, and as a cashier, for as long as I have, people lick themselves. So, and this bothered me before the COVID. Like, I'd be like, oh, it'll be 10 pounds and 23. They go, all right, hold on a second. And touching them, like, don't lick yourself. And who was right? I was right. That's what got the COVID. People licking them fucking selves. Saying.
Why would they do this?
So your lesson today is that Black Widow was good and don't lick yourself. Amen.
Yes. Unless you're a cat.
Well, yeah.
In which case, Black Widow being good isn't.
But cats aren't usually paying with banknotes at the till.
Plus, cats are not going to be that interested in watching Black Widow.
Yeah. All right, bye.